Today, we're going to destroy Regieleki with facts and logic. Jake, your resident content cowboy here, yeehaw. And I've had a few people mention to me that Toon Slim put out a really good video on Regieleki, and it's interesting because I have a lot of thoughts on Regieleki going top or bottom around the 7-minute mark, and I think it's a lot more complex than people believe it is, especially once Theia Sky Ruins came out. It was much more advantageous, I feel like, to go top because scoring mattered so much more. But now even further with how Rayquaza is becoming more and more like Zapdos, I don't know if that's entirely the case, and I think there are a lot of opportunities to actually stay bottom, at least have one Pokemon stay bottom to get value for your team. I could go on and on about this, but I do want to hear what's going on in Toon Slim's video. We're going to watch pieces of it for this video. I don't want to go through the whole thing because I want to encourage you to check it out. I have not seen it yet, but let's go through it a little bit and hear what he has to say, and I'll give some of my thoughts.
Today's video is going to be one I've been talking about doing for a while now, and it's going to be about what to do in solo queue at the 7-minute mark on Theia Sky Ruins. In this video, I'm going to tell you why I believe that is grief and what you should be doing instead. In simple terms, the answer is a lot more complicated than it used to be.
Yeah, I think this is exactly true, that it's a lot more complicated than it used to be. I also think everyone was going to Regieleki because it was new and exciting. The Regi Ice buff was bugged, so it wasn't working well, and everyone went, oh, we used to go bottom for Dreadnought, now we go top for Regi. And you just sort of get this herd mentality that follows something like this, like, oh, it's Regieleki now, and now it's time to be upset that your team doesn't show up to Regi, even though there's still team-wide experience, there's a buff, there's a lot of value in the bottom path.
Okay, so think back to Remote Stadium. You play through the early game. The bottom objective was the better objective, so it would immediately catch you up. And usually, because you're fighting the enemy team at this objective, you get some kills as well. You're now ahead, even if you were behind. The thing is that when you were really behind, right, you would go to Dread, and you would arrive, and they'd be strong, and you would try and flip this. And if you got the last hit, you would be equal, even if you wiped. And maybe the worst thing that would happen is you'd lose your bot point. But if you did it properly, you could steal it and protect your bot point. Now, if the other team gets it, fine, then you just progress the game and then you try for second Dread, right? This is different on Theia Sky Ruins. If you try to flip this objective, let's think about it from the same situations of being significantly ahead, equal, behind, or significantly behind. Now, if you're ahead and you flip this objective, okay, maybe you win it. Maybe there's like, you know, some kills either way, whatever. And then you break this, you try to push this in. Unless you're significantly ahead, you're probably not going to be able to push this into here. Going for this tier 2 is probably going to be a mistake. They can probably catch this.
So this is interesting. He's mentioning that it's hard to push it into that tier 2. And I think sometimes that's the case. I think if you are significantly ahead or you're a Pokemon that can push, you actually can kind of easily get it in there as long as the other team doesn't throw all of their Pokemon at it. And even if they do, you find value at other places in the map. So let's say you and an ally are pushing it in top and they send 5 Pokemon up there to deal with you. Someone can deal with this Regi over here. If you guys haven't got it yet, you can put points in their bottom tier goal. All that being said, especially with some of the new Rayquaza changes, I don't know if that's even that valuable anymore. However, not having that tier 2 goal up top, especially early, does create a couple win conditions for your team, so it sets up the option for the enemy team to surrender. I know this is dumb, but if you start breaking tier 2 goals early, enemy teams surrender way more often. And if you don't have a tier 2 goal up top, you can kind of set up a Zapdos win condition, even if your team doesn't get Rayquaza. But he's right. This is a situation that doesn't have as much value as people think it did. Again, I think it used to, right when we hit Theia Sky Ruins, and scoring mattered way more because Rayquaza was much different.
If you're significantly ahead, you can probably break this tier 2 with it. Now let's say you're behind. You go here, best case scenario, you get the Regieleki. However, they just catch it here because they're ahead. And maybe you have some deaths. Now let's say you're significantly behind. The last of our cases. Well, I guess I haven't talked about even either, but even is just like, you do it, hope you get some kills, and maybe you get it into this one, which is actually pretty good. Now, you're significantly behind. You go to this objective as 5. You're like, ooh, we're going to win the Regieleki. You get wiped. You get no XP during this time. They break your point early, and now because they're significantly ahead, this goes into your tier 2. This is now broken. and they take this, they go bot lane, they take this, they take all the farming bots, and they break your bot point.
This is actually exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, he's setting up a scenario where if you're significantly ahead or the enemy team is significantly ahead, this could be a pretty good objective. And a big thing that he's hitting on here that I love is that you spend so much time not farming the rest of the map, not getting experience, not finding value. This is something I think about so much right now, which is where are you actually providing value for your team? Because if you're just staying top and getting KO'd over and over and over again for an objective that really doesn't matter that much for the current situation in the game, while this entire center area here is full of wild Pokemon to get, this entire area down here has experience, yeah, you're missing out on tons of value.
This is just in my experience. I don't know if like this is universal, but this is the experience I have and the experience that I've been told by my chat. Anyway, so now I'm going to quickly go through the case for playing bot lane versus top lane at the 7-minute mark. The benefits of the bottom lane, which is this. Simply, first, there is more farm in the bot lane. This is more than this. Even if it's closer than it used to be, this is still more than this.
It's a great point. Like I was mentioning just a little bit ago, there's a lot of experience on the map that you need to figure out how to get.
Killing this still gives you global XP. Now, it's not as much as Dreadnought. Killing this Reggie now gives roughly an Ndidi, one of these over here, worth of global XP. Which is still, like, you know, there's 5 Ndidis. That's a whole rotation of these. So it's still a decent chunk of XP. Second, if you break this, and they break this, you spawn 2 Ndidis, they spawn 3 Ndidis. 2 is less than 3. So that's good.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah, I'll check the math later,
like,
but I think he's right.
Thing points now, like advantages in the future. If you break this point and they break this point, any further fights at this objective, which becomes more valuable later in the game, at the bottom Reggies, are favorable for you because they don't have a point. Now, sometimes in solo queue, these tier 1s die for free, which maybe makes this point a bit mute, but you get the idea. What I think you should do. And the answer to what I think you should do is it's complicated. It's complicated, so keep it simple. Okay? I'm going to give you a quick spiel now. The complexity of the objectives currently makes giving a simple answer on what to do at 7 minutes tricky. However, 5-man in any objective and sacking the other lane is always hard losing if the other team plays properly. Let's say you go 5 top and they go 4 top. Best case scenario, you're flipping this and you might even lose it. While they have one person down here farming all of this, scoring, right? That's what happens if you go 5 to 4. Similar scenarios if you go 4 to 3. It's still a flip top, 2 people bot, this is 1. Maybe they kill this guy, maybe they score, maybe they do bot rahi, da da da. You get the idea, right? I said 5-man objectives, so let's say you go 5 bots, and then they go 4 bots. It's the same again, it's a flip. They have good defense. They have like their top laner who can like, say this is a Garchomp. This is my Garchomp drawing. He bites everything. Rah, 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 rah. Breaks this, pushes this into tier 2. Gets this,
very
runs
good
away.
stuff. I think there's a lot of great stuff in this video, and I'm not going to be able to break down every single moment of it, again, because I want you to watch it. I'm going to have a link to it in the description. A lot of what he is talking about here is a different way of talking about what I've been mentioning on stream a lot lately, which is finding value somewhere in the game. Where are you actually getting value for your team? And he breaks down a lot of good reasons why, you know, sending 5 towards one objective isn't really giving you a lot of value, whereas he could stay bottom here as one Pokemon, farm all of this. If he's a stacking Pokemon, you farm it all, you get all your stacks, you take bottom Reggie, you just find so much value. And I think a really important thing to think about when you're playing Pokemon Unite is how am I providing a ton of value to the team? Again, I'll have a link to this video in the description. It is a good time, and he goes through some solo queue woes as the video goes on. So big shout out to Toon. Thank you to everyone for mentioning this to me. I think it's a great conversation, and with some of the changes to Ray, honestly, I do think we need to rethink how we are looking at these objectives, because running 5v5 up at Regieleki is probably not the call when you need a ton of experience to win an endgame fight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I love you very much, and I'll see you all next time.